All right, thank you guys for tuning back in. Today's video, we're going to go over the cost of living in the Inland Empire in 2023. We're about halfway through the year, so we'll be able to compare numbers to a little bit of the rest of the country and the rest of California in some areas. First of all, let me start off by saying if you're thinking of moving to the Inland Empire, whether to buy or rent, if you have any questions at all on what the process looks like or best areas, etc., I'm a local real estate agent, so feel free to reach out and don't be shy about it. You can call, text, or email. My information is down below. If you're thinking about moving out anywhere in the Inland Empire and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm a local real estate agent at Nest Real Estate out in the area. You can give me a call, text, email, whichever, or just message me here, and I would be more than happy to get back to you and help you get started out. Now, the Inland Empire, which is made up of parts of Riverside County and parts of San Bernardino County here in Southern California, is generally considered to have a lower cost of living than most of the other areas of California. Now, with that said, costs will vary based on a variety of factors, considering area, size of house, type of house, location, and lifestyle. I will give you cost and actual price breakdowns where I can. And a lot of the data that I came across used a national baseline of 100. I will refer to that as our 100 scale. Overall, California as a whole on the 100 scale, if you say the national average for living is 100, California in general has a higher cost of living at 149.6, but the IE isn't nearly as high as California's average of 149. We're at about 129.4. Higher than the national average, of course, but lower than the California average by a few points. Now, the first one, we'll go over utilities. Electricity, the average for the Inland Empire comes in at about $267 a month. Summer, you're obviously going to have a higher bill. We get a little bit warmer weather, so you're going to be running your AC and your utilities quite a bit more. But winter, you'll see a nice break because those things aren't really necessary. Also, that's the average, so there's a lot of factors that go into that. Things like the size of the home, of course, how many people are living in the home, the other technology you may have around the home, like the green verifications, type of windows, insulation, of course, solar. Like for instance, my very first house was about 850 square feet. Our electricity bill on average during the summer averaged right around $100 to $110. But back then it was just me, my wife, and my son. And of course, that was a house much on the small side. Our house now is quite a bit bigger. We have solar now, so our bill usually ranges from about $10 to $100 depending on the season, and that doesn't include the solar bill, but electricity, $10 because you want to stay connected to Edison or whoever your electrical provider is, and sometimes around $100 depending on how far over our solar usage we go. And then for water, the average bill comes in at about $82.50 a month. And of course, that's going to vary on, house size, family size, or people living in the house, the amount of people living in the house, yard size, other issues like maybe swimming pools, etc. Me personally, I have a family of 5 and a decent sized front lawn, really no landscaping in the back. And our bill averages about $115 during the summer months. As far as the 100 scale for utilities, 100 being a baseline for the nation, California as a whole, the state of California comes in at 109.7, so just under 10 points over. And the IE comes in at 102.4, so lower than the California average, but a little bit higher than the national average. I would say maybe some factors for it coming in a little bit over the national average. We don't get a lot of rainfall, so if you have a yard, you're going to be running your landscaping quite a bit, lawn, little vegetable gardens, etc. Now, number 2, we'll go over transportation. For transportation, the data I came across factored in things such as vehicle expense, fuel, mass transit, etc. 2 things that they did not consider would be registration and the actual cost of the car. On the 100 scale, we are quite a bit over the national average at 146.3, and that's for the IE. The state average is 133.1. I think what could be a factor for the IE averaging higher than the state and the nation. A lot of people in the IE commute to LA or Orange County for work, so you're going to see higher gas bills for some folks. California in general is known for having some of the highest priced gas in the country. And the average in the state as of this video, first week of August 2023, we are at $4.98. Okay, sidebar, why does California have some of the highest priced gas in the nation? Well, unfortunately, we do have higher taxes, and a lot of that is put onto gas. And second, the environmental and emission standards are a lot stricter than other places in the country, so the refinery process gets more costly. Another factor we're referred to as fuel island. Basically, that means that we don't have interstate pipelines bringing in fuel to the state. So instead, it is either produced here or transported out of state, via boat, trucks, what have you, which makes it more costly, but yay, jobs. One of the other expenses that I wanted to touch on, but I couldn't really find great definitive information on, was car registration. It's due yearly. I know in some other states, it's good for up to 5, 7, 10 years. California, it's yearly. Okay, and the third living expense that we're going to talk about is groceries. On the 100 scale, California is a little bit higher than the national average being 100. California is about 105.1. All right, now the IE, however, is a little bit lower, even lower than the national average. We're at 98.7. Slightly lower, but I'll take it. You got to save your money where you can, right? And the more regular grocery stores that we have out here, Vons, Albertsons, Stater Brothers, Ralph's. We have more niche style markets like Trader Joe's, Aldi, Sprouts. And then, of course, your Targets, Walmart's, Sam's Club, Costco. Money saving hack, get a Costco membership. Their gas is usually quite a bit cheaper than the normal gas station. Okay, the fourth topic we'll touch on is going to be healthcare. Healthcare costs are going to hinge on a variety of factors, such as insurance coverage, the specific medical procedures, the availability of healthcare providers in any given area. With that said, California is a little bit lower than the national average at about 98.3, and the Inland Empire is a lot lower than the 100 scale at 88.4. And to get these numbers, they derive them from a variety of things, such as cost for visits, the daily rate for a hospital room, and they even factored in dental into those numbers. Number 5, we'll talk about housing. This is obviously my favorite. Now, housing in California, obviously it's going to be quite a bit higher than the national average. The average is 100. IE was at 162.9, obviously quite a bit higher. California as a whole, for reference though, is at 234.8. I don't think anyone ever accused California of having cheap housing though, or thought it would be cheaper than anywhere else, maybe unless you had a time machine. According to the data, the average house price in San Bernardino County, which is part of the IE, was $553,000. And the average house in Riverside County was $640,000. But that is quite a bit lower than the state average. And the average in the whole state was $1,087,359. And these numbers are pulled from the month of July 2023. And for reference, the average price in the entire country came in at $391,794.01. And something that we'll briefly touch on right now is property taxes. I feel like that should be mentioned. Typical property taxes in the IE are at about 1.2%. Most areas probably about 1.12. That's with a base of 0.79, and then it kind of includes all the little miscellaneous assessments for storm drains, keeping the lights on, anything else to keep the infrastructure going, which really isn't that bad when you compare to places like New Jersey, where the average is about 2.4%. Texas is about 1.7%. That's not including the special assessments that are kind of tacked on the other side of it too. Now, with special assessments, I should also mention that some of the newer areas in the IE have a little bit higher taxes. They'll have that base tax rate of 1.2%. But with the Mello-Roos, CFDs, things to kind of keep the infrastructure being built up and tying those communities into the existing areas, they can go up to about 2%. And it is important to note that these factors will change over time. So it's important to kind of reach out and maybe use some government websites, reach out to local professionals to kind of see what these numbers are changing, because as we've seen from 19 to 20 to 21 to 22, the cost of living has gone up. It looks like it's been that way across at least most of the country. Now, a couple bonus items I wanted to touch on, but wasn't able to pull too much data on because we were talking about a pretty broad area, but maybe give you some insight into, the kind of finer points of living, finer costs of living in the area. Restaurants, we have restaurants where you can get meals as low as $9, all the way up to something like a Fleming's or a Ruth's Chris, where you're spending, significantly more. Daycare, I'm in Riverside County, specifically Moreno Valley. We had both my daughters in daycare at different points. For one of them, we paid about $400 for 2 days a week for per month. The other daycare place that we went to was about $600 a month for 2 days a week, and they were a lot more lenient with when we take her, and they let us switch days and whatnot. Another thing is children's sports. I have a son, he plays soccer, baseball, what have you. He's usually about 150 to 170 a season, and those seasons run about 3 months, probably similar to other states, but I'm not sure if those prices would be the same. Another kind of random one, since we do have so many state parks, if you're doing like a day pass type thing there, it's usually about $6 a day. And if you enjoyed this video and you have any friends or family that you think would be useful to, please feel free to share it with them. Also, please feel free to subscribe for weekly videos. I do try and post them every Thursday. And do not hesitate to reach out. I'm here to serve and support you on the highest possible level. And I'll see you on the next one.